while I simply watch her, hair hanging over her face as she sits exhausted. His sow. When she reaches over to brush my face, my urge is to take complete control of my body. Without so much as a second thought, I push myself over her frame. It's an unusual feeling being like this. I feel oddly powerful, holding myself above her blank face. As though for the first time since the accident so long ago, I feel physically strong. Lily, I want you. To my surprise, she smiles weakly before reaching upwards to feel the side of my face. It's an almost cheeky expression, of the kind which she usually gives only after getting something out of me. You wanted me to do this? She holds her smile and gives a silent nod. I guess it's an effective way to make me take the initiative for once. And again, to my surprise, she gives the ribbon still around my head a sharp tug downwards. Once again, I'm lost in complete blackness. I told you to keep it on, didn't I? I guess I should... Hold on, let me redo that one. I told you to keep it on, didn't I? It's supposed to sound weaker. Yeah. That teasing edge to Lily's voice, punctuated by her breathing. She never seems to lose her ability to take control of a situation. But this time, this one time... Ah, Hisao, what are you... I slide my hands underneath her soft silk skin, pressing into my hands as I gently raise her body, with a measure of difficulty. While I wouldn't describe her as heavy, her height makes her more than a handful to try and lift. It only takes a couple of carefully placed steps to feel the edges of her bed against my legs, my lowering of Lily onto her sheets just as gentle as when I raised her. Your bed will be more comfortable than the floor, right? Always a gentleman, aren't you? I quickly run my hands down Lily's long, shapely legs, their allure far from diminished without the luxury of sight, and pull off her pajama shorts and underwear from her ankle. I have no idea where those just went. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. They'll be somewhere around. With a minimum of fuss, I shuffle down my own pajama trousers and underwear, positioning myself between her legs, or at least where I think it's between her legs. With one hand on her bed to steady myself, my right moves tentatively downwards. Oh, whoops. My first contact with her is my palm clumsily meeting the front of her nose. She giggles a little before turning her head sideways. Taking my cue, I gently cradle her cheek and use my thumb to feel the contours of her face, as she so often does with me. This would be a lot easier if she wasn't moving her face into my hand, but the feeling of her nuzzling into it is nice. I swallow to try and steady myself, taking my other hand from the bed and use it to guide myself into her. As soon as I feel her warmth around me, I quickly realize just how turned on I am. With my sight gone, I'm free to concentrate far more on my other senses, including tactile feeling. The entire experience feels more vivid, more intense than it's been before. I slowly start to move my hips back and forth, my heart beating wildly in excitement. I feel Lily's eyes clenching shut. The movement on her cheek under my thumb reminded me of the gentle hold I have on the side of her face. Ugh. I'm not doing so well reading tonight. It's hard to stop myself from being completely overwhelmed. It's hard to think that this is what sex is usually like for her, experienced through every sense but the one I hold dearest. From her cheek to her neck, I begin to slide my hand downwards to take in the feeling of her body, the contours of her collarbone, the light dew resting on her skin. My sense of smell is stimulated by the scent of her sweat, and mine hanging in the air. Even the ambient smell, noticeably different from that of my own room, adds to the feeling. When I move my hand to her supple breast, her soft mewling fills... Mewling? Okay, whatever, game. Fills my ears, along with the sound of our act. The skin under my hand moves back and forth with each thrust, my grip on it tightening as my lust for the near-naked body of Lily before me grows. I can even feel her small nipple against my palm. My hand slides further and my fingers pluck it through the thin silk of her pajama top. Her whimpering sounds turns to moans as she fills with the same pleasure as I. I can feel my heart beating loudly in my chest and her own beating underneath my hand. Maybe some water would help. I can feel her hands clasp my wrists, their grip surprisingly tight as her chest rises in overwhelming pleasure. More. I want more. I can feel my chest tightening as I rock back and forth frantically, both of us entirely taken with ourselves. Oh, you better stop, bro. Nothing. Then, that unusual. I just need to take deeper breaths to steady myself. The feeling is just normal. Ah! This isn't. I can't. This pain is too much. Ah! I stumble backwards from Lily with unseemingly haste, clumsily hitting the back of my foot against the table and falling to the ground with an unceremonious crash. Breathing wildly, I frantically scrape at the ribbon over my eyes as I lay on my back. I have to get this off. I have to get this off. For a moment, everything goes blank. As the rush of newfound light assaults my eyes, my breathing slows from the brink of hyperventilation. If we could not show Lily naked, that would be great. Seconds pass. I carefully measure out the rhythm of my heartbeats with every ounce of concentration I can muster. My heart is normal. It's back to normal. My body feels utterly bizarre. As I lay dazed on the floor, looking at the ceiling, the adrenaline from before is still pouring through my veins, but my mind is completely exhausted. I prop myself as I hear Lily getting off bed and coming towards me. Hisao, are you okay, Hisao? I'm fine, Lily. I'm fine. She gives a sigh of relief, her worried expression collapsing. Her face afterward is the last thing I'd ever wanted to see from her. It's a face I detested when I first saw my parents in the hospital all those months ago. Pity. Lily pities me. I just close my eyes and turn away, powerless. I feel like throwing up. I can hear the sound of Lily moving away and quickly attending to herself, the ruffling of her clothes being pulled back on after a moment of searching just barely audible. Sorry. She slowly shakes her head as she finishes buttoning up her top. Her kind smile looks so fragile, so delicate, that it makes my heart sink. Approaching carefully, she feels out the edges of the low table before taking a seat next to me, putting her arms around my chest. I'm sorry, Hisao. I shouldn't have pushed my desires onto you. You don't need to apologize. I'd normally be fine. You've seen that much before. I guess I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. My eyelids feel heavy. Calmly sitting next to her like this is probably letting the adrenaline work itself out of my system and letting my mind relax. So that's why you never took the lead. Yeah, I guess it's a good thing you like it too, huh? The joke seems to lighten her expression a little, a fact which helps let me feel less unease about my unreliable self. Lily's head comes to rest on my body, as I struggle to keep my eyes open, with more difficulty after each blink. I feel completely drained. It's okay, Hisao. It's alright. No sooner does she say this than a small, quiet tune escapes her lips. Entirely too tired to think, all I can do is listen to her soft humming. It's a soft, almost melancholic, whatever tune. It sounds familiar, but more than I try to remember its origin. I bet it's a music box. Its origins, the less I seem able to concentrate. The feeling ascent of her head gently resting on my shoulder, and her warm body against my side are soothing. The soft humming of her voice, too, relaxes my mind as much as her warmth relaxes my muscles. This singular quiet movement, after all this fracas, it makes me realize just how exhausted I've become. I can feel my eyelids slowly becoming heavier and heavier. Even with the chaos of before, I wish this moment would last forever. Lily and I together, sharing a single solitary occasion together, just as we used to. But if that's the case, why does she feel further away than she's ever felt before? I don't know if I'm going to finish this in this recording. I would love to, but we're at the last act, so should be soon, you know? The loud clatter of books falling into the return slot abruptly breaks the grip of silence over the school library. It's become a habit for me to come to the library at least once a week. Not only does the reading itself keep me busy, but discussing books with Hanako and Lily also does. Obviously startled, Yuko suddenly twists towards the direction of the noise. I'd have thought her used to people dropping books by now, since she does work here. Oh, hello, Sal. Back again? Takes me a moment to respond. My mind is still distracted by the familiar melody of Lily's humming that's hardly left my ears in the several days it's been since I fell asleep to it. Oh yeah, just returning some books I borrowed. She casts her eyes downward, presumably to the bin the books dropped into. You're a very heavy reader, aren't you? It's become a bit of a routine now. Passes the time, at least. I wish I had free time to pass. From small talk to depression in less than 5 seconds, I think that's a new record for her. She seems a bit down in general today, even compared to normal. Considering she has to work 2 jobs just to support herself, I can see how that would take a toll on her lifestyle. Come to think of it, the pay of her job here can't be all that bad. The idea of staff in such a prestigious private school going hungry strikes me as counterintuitive. Working 2 jobs must take a lot of time. I'd probably never manage it. You're lucky being a student. Do you think you'll be able to go to university? If she's asking, then I guess that's the expected result of having this kind of education. Private schools like this don't exactly come cheap. I guess I have the money, I think. I've got plans which will require going to one, and my marks are good enough. It's more a matter of how I'll pay to do so. University costs so much that I'm having to work 2 jobs to enter it. Paying for daily expenses, too, makes it a lot harder. If you're reading this much, though, that means you're doing well in school, right? Interesting logical jump. Not an altogether wrong one, though. I suppose so. I didn't find any of the exams very hard, aside from maybe 1 or 2. Do you mind if I ask what studies you're pursuing in university? Yuko appears to genuinely brighten at the question. Anthropology. To be specific, I'm specializing in the history of classical era Athenian civilization and democracy. She really seems to know her stuff. Such enthusiasm is to be admired, and it's nice to see her genuinely excited about something. I guess even somebody like Yuko can be happy if she has a visible road ahead of her. That's good to hear. Both of us jump at the sudden interruption coming from my pocket. Apologizing profusely and quickly shuffling into the hallway as I fumbled with the cover of my mobile device, I glanced at the screen. Weird. It's a mobile number I don't recognize. Considering I can count the number of people with my number on one hand, I briefly wonder whether it's some telemarketer that lucked out. Hello, it's Sonic Eye speaking. Geez, pick up faster next time. Anyway, guess who? It only takes me a second to recognize his distinctively deep, brusque voice. Hey, Misha. Didn't expect you to call me. Huh? You actually think I sound like her? Not at all, Akira. I don't remember giving you my number, though, so I thought I'd mess with you. Oh, that. I got Lily to give it to me. Not hard. She positively brims with pride at the statement. She's trying to get me caught up in her pace, I know it. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that the two would share my number, though, given how close they are. So, what's up? You free right now? I guess. Why? I'll be back later.